Okay, we began yesterday, began the sugya of Iska. Let's go through it again outside a little bit to understand. Of course, we're going to be continuing with today. Person finances a business deal. He says, listen, I don't know too much about business. I have money. I have schleira, I have money. I'm going to give you, I'm going to give you something, and you're going to go ahead right and take care of it. You're going to take care of it. Okay? What's the problem with that? I'm going to split the profits. So there's nothing wrong with that. Again, you're going to, but if I'm not, if I'm taking full responsibility for it, right? Why would I want to do it? In other words, you're working and not getting anything, and you're taking full responsibility. So here's how an ISKA works. I'm giving the let's say we say yesterday $1,000 worth of water to you, Poland Springs water up front. I'm giving you, however, you're responsible for $500 of it. And Male, if you're responsible for $500, half of that's a loan. That $500 is a loan. That $500 is a loan. Good. The other half is a pikadon. You're watching it for me, and he's working, and he's making money. He's making money on the halva. He's also going ahead and making money for me on my part. So the problem is there's if you're making money for me on my part, nimsa, you're working for nothing. I'm making money on what? On the money I lent you. I lent you money. I lent you $500, and you're working on my $500. Right? That will appears as if it's ribbis, right? That is a shmek of ribbis. To avoid that, he has to pay him for the work he's doing. And to avoid him, he has to pay him for the work he's doing. That's it. Once you pay him for the work he's doing, then you're good. So now the question is, how much do you have to pay? How much do you have to pay? So that was the machlokas we saw yesterday. We saw Rabbi Yehuda say that afilu, just to let him go ahead and use your herring, the herring sauce, to go ahead and dink around some herring. Rabbi Shimon Yochai said you have to pay him schar mushlam. Rabbi Yehuda said you pay him if you go ahead, you evaluate you're going to give a person an iska, you're going to give a guy to watch, to raise your herd. Now again, imagine you go ahead. We had a guy in the lake house who was a cattle guy. Blumenthal was the cattle guy. Why do we know a blessed thing about cattle, right? But let's say you have some money, you invest in cattle, you give it to a cattle guy, it's really good. So now if the cattle does work for him, you don't have to pay him anything, because that work that the cattle is doing offsets again, all you want to do is make sure that you're paying him, or he's gaining on what the work he's doing for you, and then it takes care of the ribbis. So he gives him cattle, so therefore the cattle work for him. We had an opinion that if you give him what, you give him izim, you give him goats, you give him achelim, not, because so the Gemara asked, what are you talking about? She's getting wool, he's getting milk, that's something. And they said, no, we're sort of speaking about when the deal was you're going to get the whey and you're going to get the shirayim of the wool. So Rabbi Yehuda said, even in that case, that would be enough of a payment. It would be enough of a payment. Okay, well, so with that in mind, let's begin tonight's Gemara. Amr Rav Nachman, we're about on Samech Ches on the base, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 lines in the bottom. Amr Rav Nachman, halacha k'Rabbi Yehuda. Says Rav Nachman, the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda. This din that we said above, how much you have to pay him, right? It's even if he goes ahead and he gets to use your herring, he gets to dip in your fish. That's enough. The halacha is like that. The hilchasa k'Rabbi Yehuda, that even if when you dealt with the izim and the rechelim, if they just had the whey and the remnants, that also be good. The hilchasa k'Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel, that even you go ahead and you evaluate with the mother, and you don't have to pay him anything. Why you have the galalim? He said even the galalim would be enough of a payment. Good. So that's what we're holding. So the three shittas, the hilcha Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda, and Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel. Be aware, I would think Rabbi Yehuda is the most makel. Fish sauce is, whey and wool is better than fish sauce. And I guess if you have the galalim for fertilizer, that's better than both of those. So he is the most makel when it comes to how much you have to pay the working partner in an iska. So Fred the Gemara Kasha. Now Gemara brings a maisa. Bnei Rav Elish, Nafik Alayu Hahushtara. Bnei Elish they had the star. Davik Sivbei in the star it said Palga Ba'aga, Palga Behefsid. that Rav Ilish was the working partner, and Rav Ilish had died. Rav Ilish had passed away, and he was the working partner in an Iska relationship. And it said he's going to get what? Half the schar, and he's going to get what? Half the hefsid. That's what it said. But it didn't say what Rav Ilish got. It didn't say what Rav Ilish got as the working partner. It didn't say what he got as the working partner. So the problem is, it appears that Rav Ilish set up another guy. If the other guy is not paying him for working, then it's a ribis, a rabbanan de ribis. Again, if you have an iska, you got to pay the person for the parties working for you. So Rav Ilish is working, and apparently it didn't say in the shtar what Rav Ilish was getting for working for this other fellow, but he was the working partner. So how we started palga ba'aga or palga behefsid. Amarava Rav Ilish gava rabahu. Rav Ilish was a great person. B'sura le'inish lehavi safe, and he never would have gone ahead mat and literally fed another person. He wouldn't let this person, the financer, he wouldn't let him go ahead and be over on ribbis, the rabbanon, without going ahead and offsetting it. So the Gemara is going to tell you some chiddush, guys. If Rav Ilish would take less hefsid, in other words, he'd take less responsibility. He'd then get less profits. Okay, but the fact that he takes less responsibility and takes less, that offsets that, that's considered what his payment. I don't have to pay that much. I pay less. If he takes more responsibility, then he'd get more. So getting more of the profits would be his schar for the working part. The Gemara says the following: Man of Shach, palga be'agar, if Rav Ilish accepted half of the profits, it must be trade tilsa the hefsid. It must be that the other person accepted 2/3 of the hefsid, and he only undertook a third of the hefsid, and therefore, since he only undertook that third, it's offset by the fact that he's getting a little more of the profit, and that's what he's getting paid. Palga behefsid, and if he took half of the hefsid, then trade tilsa agar. That if he took on half of the hefsid, then he's going to get 2/3 of the profits, and the other guy's going to get a third of the profit. So the chiddush of the Gemara is that the more responsibility you take, or the less responsibility you take, and you're going to offset it with either more money or less money in your profits, that will be considered the payment. That would be considered the payment. That's what the Gemara is saying.
What do I care how much he makes, as long as you don't have ribbons, as long as you give him something, he doesn't.
Again, in the shtar itself, it said half and half, and it didn't say what he was getting. So Rabbi is ascertaining it must be therefore that when it said it must, if he's getting this half, it must be this. This half must be this, because he has to get something. So he's either getting, what's he getting? He's either getting less responsibility or he's getting more profit. That's it. That's what he's getting. Again, again, as long as he gets something, it's not a ribbis problem. So that's this is what.
To do with how much work he does. That's
what? He's working for the guy. Oh no, because you accept the less loss. It makes that's considered. It's considered a gain for me. I don't have to work so hard. I'm gaining something. Amarav Kahana. Again, the reason why it's a ribbis problem is because you're working for the other guy. Amarav Kahana. I mean, recently Shmaitza Kamed Rav Svid Minardoi. I said the sugya over in front of Rav Svid Minardoi. V'amalini told me Dilma Rav Ilish Toivel Ima B'tzir Ave. He told me the Rav Nachman Lach Rav Yehuda. So guys, he said the Lach like Rav Yehuda, correct? So maybe it's half and half, right? And you're wondering what did he get? You know what he got? He got to use the herring sauce. We said Allah like Rav Yehuda, that even when you pay him herring sauce, that's enough of a payment to go ahead and avoid the ribbis problem, correct? So says the Gemara, why do you have to go to say he's going to get this amount or this amount? Just simply say that he maybe did that. And the Allah is like Rabbi Yehuda. So Amalei, so said. So now Rav Kahana told Rav Ilish, Amalei, let me get the names right. Rav Kahana, Rav Ilish. So he told me, okay, so I said to him, so Rav Kahana said to Rav Zvid, Lav Hilchasa Itmar, Ela Shita Itmar. fellas, let's go back to the daf before. We began to the daf. Guys, go back to the daf before. Amar Rav Nachman, halacha Rabbi Yehuda, herring sauce. Halacha Rabbi Yosef Yehuda, whey and remnant wool. Halacha Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, mat glolim. If you're telling me that halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda, of course the halacha is then for like Rabbi Yosef Yehuda and like Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel. After all, Rabbi Yehuda was the biggest makel. Even fish sauce would do the job. So certainly whey and wool and the glalim would do the job. Eli, you know what? Don't be goyris hilchasa, be goyris shita achas. They all say the same signun. They all say that you don't need to get anything substantial in order to be what? In order to be an iska. That's so. Therefore, it's not possible that Rav Ilish would have gotten this sauce. Why? Because the halacha is not like that, and therefore must be he got either more profit or less work. Says the Gemara, Itmar Elishita Itmar. It learned that we're in the same shita. Hachanami mistabra. The loitema hachi lamalei lemechsheve ulemema halacha halacha lema halacha Rabbi Yehuda the megal mikula. In other words, simply say the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda, and then I would know a mela. So why you tell me halacha halacha halacha? Because the answer is it's not halacha halacha halacha. It's they're all going the same signun in the same shita. Okay, so that's the Maisur Rabbi Elish. Amarav, muta Maisa shlish bischarcha. How do you say muta? Guy says the following: we're gonna evaluate the animal now, and we're gonna split the profits up to a third of what it's worth now. Anything beyond that will be yours, and that will be your payment. Again, an iska relationship. Again, always now in the iska, what do we have to look for? Where's the payment? Where's the payment? So here's my payment. We're gonna whatever's up to a third, we're gonna split. That'll be a profit. Anything more than a third will be your payment. Good. That's what Rav said. So Rav says it's mutter to do that. Rav says it's mutter to do that. Ushmul amar loy matzah mutter ma'isa shlish. If you don't find it more than a shlish, excuse me, loy matzah mutter shlish. Yelich lebeisa reikom. What happens if what? What happens if you don't get most of the profit, guys? What happens if you don't get it? Right? What happens if you don't get it? Good. So what's the answer? What are you paying him? So if you're not paying him anything, what? You got a ribbis problem. So I'm Ella. I'm Shmuel. Kaitzel Adina. Go ahead and set a dina. That's a dina. Set a dina. In other words, either if it's less than a shlish, then you get a dina. If it's more than a shlish, that's your schar. So in other words, cover yourself. Make sure that there's some payment to avoid the ribbis problem. Make sure there's some payment to what? To avoid the ribbis problem. Okay. Frag the Gemara, the Savarav and Kaitzin like dina. Is Rav of the opinion that you don't go ahead and set a dina to avoid the ribbis problem? The Amarav, Reish Egla Lipetuma. I'm going into an iska with you. You're going to go ahead and you're going to fatten up my animal. You're going to fatten my animal. You know what I'm going to give you as a reward? I'm going to give you the head of the egel. You're going to get some beef cheeks out of this. You're going to get some beef cheeks out of this. That's what I'm going to give you. Okay? So who said this? My lav the Amalei, Moiser Shlish Bischarcha. And nonetheless, even after you said Moiser Shlish Bischarcha, you still had to give him something. Guys, again, what's the kasha? Rav said, just have to say Moiser Shlish is enough. Says Shmuel, you have to give him something. Now we're saying Rav makes a din with a guy, and he says you're going to get, for fattening up the animal, you're going to get the head of the animal. Yeah? You're going to get the head of the animal. Good. And the Gemara is assuming that even in a case where what? You said, Moisa Shlish should go to yours, you still have to give him something. Like this case, the head of the animal. Doesn't lie. The Karmalei, Moisa Shlish, either you're going to get, when it's more than a third, or the ratio, either or, but not both. Either or, but not both. That's one way to go ahead. But Ibayasema, Kikamarav, Moisa Shlish Bischarcha Mutta, Kagoin, this guy, this herdsman, he's got his own animal. So in other words, here's what I'm telling you. I'm going, guys, look at me. I've got guys pulling out like flies. Guys, I go into an iska with a guy. I'm a herdsman. He never knew this about me, right? I raised animals. Now I have herdsmen. You know, I know how to take care of animals, and we go into an iska, and you give me X amount of money, or you give me animals to raise. So let's say I have 5 animals. I have 5 animals. And you make a deal. You say, listen, those 5 animals, we're going to split anything up to a third. We'll split anything more than a third is yours. Right? I don't have to give you anything. Why? Because what you know is I have another 5 animals. I go ahead and feed the animals. What do? I throw the food in. There's no tircha whatsoever. Since I'm feeding my animals, your animals eat also. So that Memela, Iba Yasema, says Rav, you have to give something. According to the first teretz, you don't have to give anything, either or. According to the second teretz, I really do have to give something, but I don't have to give anything because I'm not being matriach. I'm not working for you. Why am I working for you? Because when I feed my animals, I'm feeding yours as well. I'm feeding ours as well. So that's Iba Yasema. Another way to avoid the problem that you're saying it's a ribbis problem with Rav, because you're not giving over paying the person. Kikam Rav Meister Shlish B'Scharcha Mutter Kigain Dislei Behemel L'Didei. The army in she, there was a common saying, Givil L'Tura, Givil L'Turai. A little bit from, you mix up for my ox, you mix up for your ox for my ox. That's Rav's case. Rabbi Lazar Magrunya, Rabbi Lazar from the town of Agrunya, Zovin Behema, he bought an animal, the Yovle La Rise, and he gave it over to literally a sharecropper. Mefatim Le, right? And he went ahead and he fattened him up. And then l'chayra, they're going to sell the animal. The Yovle Reisha B'Igrei. And you know what he gave him the schar for working? The iska? He gave him the head of the animal. The Yovle Reisha B'Igrei. And the schar, the payment for what? For working the iska, he gave him the head of the animal. The Yov Palga Ravcha, and he gave him half of the profits. So again, iska, you got half the profits, you got the payment, everything's taken care of. Again, like you always have to figure out where is the payment. Good. He gave him a head. He gave him an animal head. That's what he gave him. Amrulay the Visayu. Now the wife of the sharecropper, this big businesswoman, told the sharecropper, listen, if you go ahead and become a partner with him, nami al yasa. Not only will he give you the head, he'll give you the tail as well. So if you become a partner, you'll get more. What?
Tail is useless.
Not an oxtail. It's an oxtail. Mendy. They're not a cash. Doesn't pass. Mendy. Mendy, look at it. You don't eat it. People eat it. You could sell it to a guy, mix it in a drink. Who knows, Mendy? You could do a lot of things with it. Anyway, Azul Zavin Bahadei, he went ahead and this sharecropper figure, but Elizabeth Agrunya is a good businessman, right? So I figure with Chaparine. So now go into a full partnership with him. Now, this is a little different, guys, right? This is not an iska. This is a full partnership, right? There's no loan here. There's no loan here. No one's working for the other, right? No one's working for the other guy. Anyway, so what? Also, and what did he do? He went and they bought an animal together. And now they sold the animal. Not only did you get the whole tail, you got the half a tail. And Amalei and Rabbi Lazar ben Agunya told the Aris, paying the falgalation, let's go ahead and split the head. So so this guy was incredulous. Said, I'm like, Hashta Kamei Karan Namilai? I don't understand. When we had an Iska, you gave me the whole head. Now I'm a full partner and I get half a head. So Amalei said, you're very good. You will know yourselves. Until now, Suzi Dide Have, right? It was my money, it was my capital. If I won't give you a little bit more, why? Because half of it's a loan. It was all mine. Hashta shutfa none, right? Now we're shutfin. What are people going to say? My karmit terchana tvei porta, that you should work a little harder for working on my half. People say stamarise lemari arakam shabbat nafshe lasui leraya. Stamanaris, I guess it's a herdsman, right? Since it's normal for him to go ahead and take the herd out, it's not considered tircha, and therefore it's not a problem. And since I didn't lend you anything, it's no ribbis problem. Therefore, why it's no ribbis problem? I don't have to give you any schar. What's the schar tircha a little bit? You're an artist. People realize going ahead and taking the animal in and out. That's the norm. Right? Okay, again, what's the sum? When you say sum, it's a fancy word for saying an iska. We said yesterday. Shaman, right? What are you doing? You're evaluating. Guys, just a reminder. When you evaluate an animal, obviously you're putting a price on it. You're saying that I have to know how much is what a halva and how much is a pikadon. When you don't When you don't go ahead and do that, then it's not a problem. We said yesterday. But over here in the Mishnah, over here, so you went ahead, you evaluated an animal, you got a price now on the animal. Ad masay chayiv l'tapel. Now, so you have an iska relationship. How long does the managing partner? How long does he have to go ahead and what's the earliest he can end this relationship? He's working hard. True, he didn't put anything out. You supplied all the capital, but how long does he have to work to keep this relationship going? Sumchus Omer, by donkeys, female donkeys, Shmoina Esa Chodesh, 18 months. Begoidroi, small animals, Chavdal Chodesh, 24 months. You can't end the relationship before this time. Now, again, remember, this guy who's providing the capital, obviously he's not a herdsman, he's not a roya, he knows shaykhs to this. So if the guy would end it too early, what did he gain? He doesn't want the animals back, he wants money. And if the managing partner says, listen, I'm working too hard, I don't want to do this anymore, and he wants to go ahead and cut the business venture in the middle earlier than 18 months for an usain or 24 months for small livestock, then the financier could go ahead and be ma'akiv. He can be ma'akiv because I didn't go into this business transaction to go ahead and work harder. Aval einu doima, and what's aval but einu doima tipule shel shana zu l'tipune shel shana acheres. You can't compare the first year working the animal to the second year. The second year is much worse. So really, that's the reason you can't end it. Because the first, he wants to end it after a short period of time, and now when it's harder to take care of, which this guy is unable to take care of it, you want to dump it on me to take care of it, and that's the reason you can't do it. But the lashon of Ella doesn't make sense. Aval ain't a dime. It's not. It says Gemara, my aval. What's aval? Change the gears, guys. Aval but means it's not. It's Ella. The reason lefisha ain't a dime tipul shel shanazu lepun shana cheres. Therefore, you can't go ahead. Since the second year is harder, of course the Makabel can't stop taking care of it because the Makabel, the managing partner, is the expert over here. So it's not Aval but, it's Ella. Because the second year is harder than the first year, you can't go ahead and end the relationship earlier before the time is up, which is going to go ahead and cause what? A problem for the financer. Tanya Idach, another brisa regarding Iska. Hasam behem lechaveroi. Okay, now guys, the vlodos already are the prophets. Vlodos already are the prophets, right? You made an isker in the animal. The animal now had babies, so now you have a secondary loan, perhaps. But bidaka, how long do they have to take care of the little animals? Bidaka lamidoim, small animals 30 days. Ubigasa and a heavy livestock, nunyan 50 days. This is the same Rashi brings as by a bechar, how long you have to take care of it before giving it to the kohen. Rabbi Yossi Omer, b'daka gimel chadashim, by daka you have to take care of it 3 months, not 30 days, 3 times the amount. B'fneishe tipuloi meruba, because what? Taking care of a small livestock is hard. My tipuloi meruba b'fnei sheshinecha dakos, because their teeth are small, and I guess you have to feed them. They can't graze themselves, and there's more people involved. Mikan ve'elech, after this time, with 30 days, 50 days, 3 months, whatever it is, noitel mechza shaloi, he takes his own profit, 50%. The chatzi mechza b'shal chaveroi, and a half of his friends. In other words, he gets 3/4. I guess outside, guys, watch. The first animals he gave, there was an iska on it. This person, the managing partner, gave no capital whatsoever. So it's a classic iska. He does some work, and therefore he splits the profits, 50-50, and he's responsible for half of it. Now that the animal is born, they give birth again, and you go ahead and you are taking care of it beyond the time he has to take care of it. At this point in time, it becomes a whole new transaction. It's not even Iska now. He owns it again. He owns it. Now, when this babies are born, they're full partners, guys. They're full partners in the babies. So now you're going to get half the profits from yours, and for taking care of of my half, you're going to get half the profits from that. So you get a total of 3/4. There's no halva over here. There's no halva over here. Let's see Rashi on that last point, so you'll get it straight. To the second line where it gets wide. How long does he have to take care of the vlados? The babies also will be divided up as what? As profits. And the managing partner, let's go ahead and divide it up immediately. I don't want to take care of yours because I'm not getting anything. In the first Iska, guys, look at me. Guys, in the first Iska, what's he getting? The use of the capital that he didn't go ahead and provide for. But once the babies are born, he owns that. So I have to take work for you when I'm gaining nothing. Those babies that I'm watching now, those babies, they're mine. They're mine and yours. So mine I'm watching, yours, what do I have to watch yours? It's not a halva that this is mine, I own it. So bidaka shleishim ubegasa chamishim, says Rashi. How long you have to take care of people? Okay, bidaka shleishim ubegasa chamishim. That's the same period of time. Yakach nice in the kohen, the yellow from Pesukim. Okay, now mikan ve'elech. Let's go to the Rashi. Mikan ve'elech, 4 lines up the end of the line. Yitel makabel metzia shalem. The managing partner, guys, is going to take full half b'shvil chelkoi because it's half of the profits from the first business transaction. Sheicheser shaloi hein u'mechza sheni shel chaveiro yitel mechza b'shvach, and he's going to take half of the second person as shvach kider shenaitel be'ima mechza schar, just like he took by the mother half the schar u'schar amol u'mazlein leka. The avgav. Now, even though he doesn't have to get paid for this, he doesn't have to get paid at all because it's not halva, right? It's not halva. The afagav the chetzi achrayis from metz chaver love. Even the boy lemit, since half is on him. Even the boy lemitrach ba mishum metz shaloi shu karen gomer. He's working for himself, guys, which is karen gomer, meaning it's not a halva. He owns it. Ve'eno halva. It's not a halva. Milva. V'chitarach mishum didei katarach. In other words, there's no ribis over here, guys. He's working for himself and he's working on that. But since there's no halva over here and he's not getting paid anything, Rashi says the question: he's not getting paid anything, but he's going to take mechza of. He owns half of that. Says the Gemara Vaita. Rav Menashe Bar Gada was a roya. Shakal mechza shaloyu the chatzi mechza b'shal. He had the same situation. He took half of his and half of the other fellas. Also, Rabbi told him, "Man polig l'cha." Who went ahead and divided up for you? In other words, who gave you what, right? Who gave you the right to go ahead and divide up? In other words, it's not much. It's you have to evaluate. So, who did the evaluation that you could divide it up? In addition, the place that you divided up is a place where the minig is that you have to, the herdsman raises them. Right? In a place where it's like to raise them, you raise them. In other words, this place that you deal with, you had no right to go ahead and make a division because you were supposed to go ahead and raise them. And we're going to see this later. The Mishnah is going to discuss this. A place where what? And this place, the Vlades this is a place where for Zman Rav, and therefore you had no right to go ahead and okay. Hanu trei kutoi. So when you think about kutoi, you think about a kuti, right? So what do we das? We Kute Gereres, Kute Geroyes. Now, either way, we're speaking, the Yavit says over here, we're speaking about 2 Jews who came from Kuta. We're speaking about 2 Jews who came from Kuta. You know who came from Kuta? Avram Avinu. Avram Avinu came from Kuta. It says, it's a Ramban. Ramban brings from an ancient Egyptian almanac. That happened with the Kivshana Eish. It's a fascinating Ramban in the Torah, and he says that Avram, who was from Kuta, was imprisoned by someone but Kuta. So that would be very good shmak over here. That Kuta is not, it's fascinating. You think Kuta, right? No, Kuta is a place. It's a place in Iraq. Mesopotamia is Iraq. So it's a place over there. So how did Trey Kutai? You had these two Kutai. The Ovid Iskad Bahadeh Adad. He made an Iskad between themselves. Azul Chad Minayu and Polig Zuze Bledaiti the Chave. So this guy, you know what he did? They had an iska together. And what's our case? You're going to sell you got $500 and of water and $500. Went ahead, you made a profit of $700. So he went ahead and he gave the guy back. He gave him back the 350. He gave him the profit back. Gave him 350. Gave him back 350 as profit. Also, Kamei the Rabbi, and he invested it in somewhere else. And this fellow was not happy. He didn't tell him about it. So also Kamei the Rabbi Papa Amalei, my nafkamina Hachiyam Rav Nachman Zuze Commander Pligi Dummy. In other words, you do not need an evaluation on money. If this is your profit, just divide it in half. So this guy who went ahead and divided the profits did nothing wrong. You're upset that he invested it. He did nothing wrong. Lashona, now obviously they still had a business together, these fellas. In the next year, Lashona, Zav and Chamra Badedade, they bought wine together. Come Idach. Now, the one who complained about the first division, now he got up and he says, oh, they didn't tell me about the money, so I'm going to go ahead and sell the wine for a profit, and I'll divide it. I'll divide the wine. You'll get this, and I'll do. So Polig Label Daite de Chavre. He went ahead, and he then he sold it, reinvested it, and he didn't tell his friend about it. Now this friend was upset. Asla Kamed Rapapa Amalei. Rapapa said to the fellow, Man Polig, who went ahead and divided up the wine? Who told you what the estimation? So Amalei Kachazin the Basidi Asi Mar. So he said, I see, I can't win. By the money you voted against me, and by the wine you voted against me, right? You revatel my whole mechira, everything. Like, what are you doing? Like he was upset. So Amar Papa Amid Beis said Papa, in this case, Vada, you have to go ahead and inform him. Okay, Taisus brings two pshatim. Taisus, I like this pshat. The Dayan doesn't have to tell the Nidan, he doesn't have to tell his psak. But in a place where a guy feels he's being picked upon, then he has to tell him. The guy feels he's being picked upon, he has to tell him. So said Rapapa to this fellow, Zuze mi shakal tuve ushviki chasve. When you divide it up, did you take good ones and left chaserim? Amalei loy. He said, no. When I divided up the money, what happened? I got exactly what he got. However, Kamra kuli alma yodai dikid de basim dikid de loy basim. There's one that's more literally scentful and not scentful. In other words, barrels of wine are not equal. So just because you divided up the barrels of wine, not necessarily did you give him equal to you, and therefore you needed a shuma, and therefore that's the difference between the two. So it's interesting that the Papa felt the need to go ahead and be mafias this fellow. Look at the top places for a second. Mashma dafka hacha fishahoyale pischain peh. This person had an excuse lachashtoi kamar yitzarich lo'oidi that he has to go ahead and tell him mishum vayisin nekim Hashem Yisrael, that a person should be squeaky clean. If a person is choshev for something, a person should be always naki me Hashem Yisrael. Okay. Fight in the Gemara. Gufa, we've said previously. Amrav Nachman, Zuze commander pligi dummy. If you divide up money, money is considered it's divided up already. You don't have to. No shum is necessary. Hani mili, that's when tavi v'tavi, when they're equal good coins. Tikule v'tikule, or heavier coins. Aval tavi v'tikule light. Again, Rashi brings, as we all know, money is not the same as you can have a dirty dollar bill or a clean dollar bill. It's worth $1. In those days, they went after the tsura and the weight and different things. So when there's money equal, when it's equal money, but if you can't go ahead and tavi v'shakla, that you can't go ahead and do. Rav Chama having moiger zuze bipshita. Rav Chama, he went ahead and he lent out a zuz. He rented out a zuz for pshita yuma, for one full day kula zuz. Now Rav Nachman Sava. Maishna, okay, Mimara. Now, if you look at Rashi tells you what he thought his heta was. He went ahead and he lent money. I'm giving you a zuz, and you're going to give me back the zuz and plus the pshita for a day. This pshita is 1/8. Belashin schiras. He used the lashon of renting. I'm renting you this coin. Belashin halva. Hinani maskelacha. Behold, I'm renting to you zuz hayoim a zuz today, be poshet for the price of a poshet for a pshita. The hainu zuz medina, which is a zuz medina. The hainu shminas mitziburi. It's an eighth of the Tyranian coin. Okay. Now, so Rav Chama, he went ahead. What appears on the surface, thinking, which is classic ribbis, but he felt that maybe since he used the lashon of schiris, that it's not ribbis. Kolu zuzei de Rav Chama. Rav Chama is he lost his money. Rashi says yardu l'timam. All his money went to lost. Kedaminu l'kamon she'amalvim beribis nechseim mismaitin. People go ahead. Don't put their trust in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You take away your trust in Hashem. Hashem takes away what their property. So what happened? So Savar Maishnami Mara. He said, what's the difference then a Mara than a hoe? Right? If you go ahead and you rent out a hoe and for a certain price, there's no comparison. Mara Hadra Be'ena. Madra you're going to get back. The idea Pachse. And if it went down in price, you'd be able to see it was worn away. But the zuz, you're not getting it back. It's out there. And you also you don't know. So therefore that's the difference. Amarava, a person could say to his friend, listen to very interesting halacha. Heilich dalid zuze, take this for zuz, for oisve lepanya zuze, and go ahead and lend money to so and so. So I'm giving now. Let's say Benji would go ahead and he'd lend money to Rabbi Avi. And he'd say, Rabbi, I'm getting, Benji says, Rabbi Avi, Rabbi Stern is giving me 4 zuz to lend you money. You think that's ribis, right? You think that, look, he's lending money and he's gaining because I'm giving him money. Guys, you hear? You think it's mutter or asa? What would you say? Right? Why? Because Gemara. Oh, yeah. Okay, you're very good. The Gemara says it's mutter. Better than me, the Gemara says it's mutter. What's the reason? Geschmack. Guys, look at the Gemara. The ribis is only that comes out from the loiva to the malva. So since Benji is the malva, right, and Rabbi Avi is the loiva, right, and Rabbi Avi is not giving the money to Benji, I'm giving the money to Benji, that's permitted. There's a big rush over here under which guidelines it's permitted. You can't tell him. You can't tell him to go ahead and I should give him money. That you can't do. None of that shtick. You can't. Rabbi Avi can't say. Don't be Jewish. Rabbi can't say to me, okay, listen, Lays, do me a favor, Rabbi Lays, go ahead, give him a little, let me money. You can't, that you can't. Rava says Rava, Shari Leila Inish, Lemei Leila Chavre, a person can say to his friend, Shakalacha Arba Zuze, take from me 4 zuz, the Leila Planya, La'isman Zuze, and say so and so shall lend me. So in other words, so I tell Benji, do me a favor, take the 4 zuz from me, and tell Rabbi Avi to lend me money, right? That you could do. My timer, schara mima kashakal. You're only getting what the schar of the amira. That what you spoke about. Now, even though the lov is spending money for the halva, I'm spending money for the halva. I'm giving money to Benji to get a loan. So the lov is spending money for the halva. It's interesting. It's still mutter, right? Kihoda. Abba Marbereder Papa Habishakal Ugnoya de Kira Mikiroi. He took wax discs for wax. Family Lavua, Isfana Zuze. Go ahead and lend them money. Go ahead and lend them the Kiroi money. Amalei Rabbanah Papa. Achal Brei Demariv. So he's eating ribis. In the scharavat that you got these discs, you're going ahead. You're giving the Kiroi alone. Amalu Kol Ki Ribsa Nechel. All this ribis you can eat ganz fine. The Yasutari Ela Ribis Abba Eloiv El Malva. Taking money for speaking on behalf of others is not considered what? It's not considered ribis. Again, there's a lot. Ribis is a tremendous. You look at the halachas; they just go one after the other. They're all based upon these gemaras, right? They're very short. They're all based upon these gemaras. They look in Senior Deya and Hilchas Ribis. It's Kufayim Vav. It's Kuf Samech. That's the okay. Now, what's a shuma, guys? What's a shuma again? When I say the word shuma to you, what do you mean? It means an iska. What's the iska? We're going ahead and evaluating what it's worth now, so we can ascertain which part you're borrowing and which part is mine, right? Pikadon. So you're going to be responsible by making the shuma. We're ascertaining which part you're going to be responsible for. Since you're going to be responsible for that part, it becomes what a halva. So shomin para b'chamar, you can go ahead and make an evaluation to enter an iska with the para and chamar, the chol davar shu oisa v'oichel lemechza, without going ahead and paying the person. Why? Because this animal, as we saw earlier, the animal's working. That the animal's working for him is the schar. That the animal's working for him is the schar. Malkum shenogel l'chalik es havladais. This is why we mentioned earlier. In a place where they divide the babies, miyad chalkin. They divide it up as soon as they're born. You can't expect that this person should work beyond the 30 days, the 50 days, or the 3 months, whatever they said. Malkum shenogel legadloi, and a place where it's noy legadol. This is what they told Rav Menashe bar Gadya is yagdilu. Then this is you have to go ahead and let him grow. You have to go ahead and you can't take him back. You can't divide up because that's the minig hamakom, and therefore this guy's not an expert, the financier, but obviously the managing partner is, and therefore the makom is for him to megadol, let him even gadol it. Shimon Galilemer, Shaman Egel and Imai. We go ahead, we evaluate the Egel with his mother, Besayach and Imai, and a coal with a foal with its mother. Yeah, only with its mother we can go ahead and make that evaluation because it's going to work for you. But the other animals won't work for you. And the last end of the mission, and that's what the Gemara is going to discuss. Umafriz al Sadeu, Mishum Ribis. A person could be mafriz, can increase on Sadeu, and you're not chayish for ribis. The Gemara is going to bring the case. You go ahead and you rent a field to a guy. You're going to go ahead and give me 10 core a year. The guy who's working the field says, "Listen to me. I want to improve the field. Give me lend me some money, and I'll improve the field, and I'll give you back 12." So it looks like ribis, correct? It looks like ribis. I'm giving you a loan instead of getting 10. I'm getting back 12. I got not that, correct? Says the Mishnah. You could do that. I'm not worried about ribis. Apparently, on the surface, it would appear to be very much ribis, right? But we're going to see it's not. We're going to see that we view the guy as working the field as a shliach. Mafiz al sadeu. A person go ahead and be mafiz on sadeu, meaning give me money, lend me money to increase the quality of the field. That's the last din of the Mishnah, and that's when we started in the Brisa. Ketzad. Someone rents a field from his friend, but asara kurim chitim l'shana, for 10 kur chitim for the year. That's what he's going to pay him. And now the renter says to the balabas, "Tainli masayim zuz, lend me 200 zuz. V'afarnasana, I'll go ahead and approve the field. And aside from paying you back the 200 zuz that you're lending me, I'll go ahead and give you 12 for the year." Mamish, it appears like pure ribis, right? Mutta, it's mutta. We don't view that this guy is getting 2 more core for the loan. We don't view it that way, since the money is invested in the land itself. So we view the renter as a shliach of the landowner who's going ahead and improving his land. Again, the money is being invested in the land itself. He owns that land. So we don't view him as a loiva who's getting, and view the malva is getting more. We view him, the loiva, the seicher, as the shliach of him, of the shliach, and he's investing in the land because his land is getting improved. Okay, his land is getting improved. Now, what happens if it will be something that is not in the land itself? Then you'd have a ribis problem. So right now, example. Avli mafis loyal chanus, loyal sfina. You can't give a person a loan to increase profits in a store or increase profits on a boat. Says Rashi. Before it gets wide, about 5 lines up. You can't be mafis on giving more schar for the renter of the store or for the boat. If he rented for him a store or svina, it's asa to borrow from him money, liknois peris, v'limcha bechanus, or pragmatia lahoylach b'svina, or cargo to go ahead and ship. V'yala al demes kirusa. So in other words, guys, guys outside, I rented you the store for $10 a year. I rented the store $10 a year. Lend me money. I'll buy produce. I'll buy schira, and I'll give you 12. I rented a boat for 10 a year, right? Give me money. I'll buy more cargo, and I'll give you 12. That would be asa. What's the difference between that? What's the difference between that, right, and the land? Buy the land, the improvement, you're taking the money and putting it in the land. Over here, you're not improving the store, you're not improving the boat. It's simply making profit, but it's using the chanus or the boat as a vehicle to make more profit, but you didn't invest in the chanus itself. You didn't invest. Conversely, therefore, let's say he takes the money and paints up the store beautifully. Let's say he goes ahead and takes the money and makes the ship more not right. In that case, it would be permitted, but it's the same as the land. That's what the Gemara says right now. Okay, so now, Amr Rav Nachman, Amr Rav Avua, Pamim shemafis al chanus. Right, you can go ahead and increase the rent of the chanus by through a loan. Lots of batsura, going ahead and painting it, making it look nice. Svina, lasas like iskaria to make a nice mast. Chanus lots of batsurasa, that savavay inchi, very a good fay. People come to the store and you make more money because it's a nicer store. People like the shopping, we all know, in a nicer store. Right. Svina, lasas like iskaria, kivin the shafiria, iskaria tfei, igrit fay. Since it's a nicer boat, then you'll get more profit. Okay, we'll stop over here.